Good morning, Asia. Good evening, America. Wishing all our viewers a very Merry Christmas. You're watching World DNA with me, Diksha Bisla.
And I'm Samiksha Srivastava. It's a packed lineup this morning. Ukraine and the US are inching closer to a jointly agreed formula to end the war with Russia. Even as questions remain over ceding territory and whether Moscow will actually accept the new terms, it's the Ukrainian president who's called for a meet with President Donald Trump.
Well, also coming up on the show today, we bring you highlights of Christmas celebrations around the globe. From Christmas bells ringing at Notre Dame to President Trump making Christmas Eve calls to service members. We bring you the celebratory glimpses from across the world. Stay tuned, you're watching WION World is One. Let's start with the headlines.
Zelensky secures key concessions in a revised US-led peace plan, including Ukraine accepting principle of demilitarized zones in eastern regions if Russia pulls back forces. Kremlin is reviewing the proposal.
US Department of Justice says more than 1 million more documents potentially related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein have been discovered and are being reviewed for release.
An explosion rips through crowded mosque in northeastern Nigerian city of Maiduguri as Muslim faithful gather for evening prayers. At least 7 worshippers killed in blast.
"14 countries, including France, Britain, Germany and Italy, condemn Israel's recent approval of 19 new Jewish settlements in occupied West Bank, calling it a violation of international law.
Iran state media says Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps seized an oil tanker in the Gulf carrying more than a dozen foreign crew members. It was not immediately clear under which flag the ship was flying.
Bangladesh is on edge as fresh violence erupts in capital Dhaka, killing a man in a powerful crude bomb explosion in Moghul Bazaar area, just ahead of exiled BNP chairman Tariq Rahman's return to the country today.
.1 magnitude earthquake jolts Taiwan's southeastern coastal Taitung County, shaking buildings. Across the area, supermarket surveillance footage captures the moment. No serious damage that's been reported.
Pope Leo holds first Christmas Mass of his pontificate, greeting thousands of faithful in St. Peter's Square. Calls Christmas a feast of faith, charity and hope. As church figures, diplomats and around 6,000 faithful attend the Mass.
S&P 500 surges to a fresh record high during a relatively quiet and shortened session on Wednesday in the run-up to Christmas, since hitting multi-year lows from Trump's tariff turbulence in April. Wall Street stocks have surged, with every dip being brought at record pace, and the fear of missing out is dominating the sentiment.
Ukraine and the US are closer to a jointly agreed formula to end the war after latest round of talks.
That's right, Diksha. In fact, Kiev seems to have won some limited concessions in the latest version of a US-led draft plan. But even as key questions remain over territory and whether Moscow will actually accept the terms or not.
Our President Zelensky has revealed the latest status of the peace talks and called for a meeting with his US counterpart Donald Trump to hammer out the most sensitive issues. Regardless of whether it is accepted by Moscow, it marks a success for Kiev in rewriting an earlier draft that was criticized as being very close to Kremlin's demands. Hours later, addressing the country on Christmas Eve, Zelensky said that Moscow could never occupy the Ukrainian heart or break its national unity, invoking a traditional belief that the heavens open on Christmas night to grant wishes. Zelensky said that Ukrainians shared one common hope. He said, "May he perish," in an apparent reference to Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Today we all share one dream, and we make one wish together. May he perish. Each of us may think privately. But when we turn to God, of course, we ask for more. We ask for peace for Ukraine. We fight for it, and we pray for it.
Ukrainian president has condemned Russian attacks leading to the holidays as godless strikes devoid of anything human or even Christian.
In the latest attack on December 23rd, at least 3 people were killed and 12 others were injured. The assault involved at least 635 Russian drones and 38 missiles. It targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure, leaving several parts of Ukraine almost completely without electricity.
On the eve before Christmas, the Russians once again showed who they really are. Massive shelling, hundreds of Shahed drones, ballistic missiles, Kinjal missiles, everything was used. This is how godless people strike. This is what those who have absolutely nothing in common with Christianity or with anything human do. But we are holding on. We support one another. And today we pray for everyone on the front line to return alive, for everyone in captivity to come home.
In Odessa, a Russian attack on port infrastructure has sparked a vegetable oil leak. Oil and yellow foam coated the Black Sea shoreline, with dead sea birds visible in the waters.
The latest version of a plan to end the Russian invasion would freeze the front line, but still pave the way for Ukrainian withdrawals and the creation of demilitarized zones.
The Ukrainian president said that he's ready to pull his troops back from areas of the eastern Donetsk region, still under Kiev's control, and turn the areas into a demilitarized zone. However, he added that any such move would need to pass a referendum in the country.
Ukraine also suggested Energodar, a city occupied by Russia that manages the Zaporizhzhia power plant, could become a demilitarized zone. Now, Ukraine, Russian and US forces will jointly manage the plant.
The new draft also got rid of demands that Kiev must legally renounce its bid for NATO membership. The Ukrainian president said that its NATO members' choice whether to have Ukraine or not is on them. Furthermore, he even went on to say that Ukraine would hold presidential elections, that is, only after an agreement is signed.
Moscow has repeatedly said that NATO membership for Ukraine is unacceptable. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has said that Russia is reviewing the plan.
Measure that no one wants.
Well, shifting focus then, an explosion ripped through a mosque in northeastern Nigerian city of Maiduguri
And killed at least 7 worshippers over there. Now, according to witnesses, the bomb went off inside a crowded mosque in the city Gamboru market as Muslim faithful gathered for evening prayers. No armed groups immediately claimed responsibility for what anti-jihadist militia leader Babakura Kolo said was a suspected bombing. He said it is suspected that the bomb was placed inside the mosque and exploded midway through prayers, while some witnesses described a suicide bombing. Kolo said 7 were killed in the incident, while one of the leaders of the mosque, Malam Abuna Yusuf, put the toll at 8 dead, though officials are yet to release a final casualty count.
Maiduguri is the capital of Borno state, which is also home to years-long insurgency by jihadist groups Boko Haram and an offshoot Islamic State West Africa province, though the city itself has not seen a major attack in years.
Nigeria has been battling a jihadist insurgency since 2009, in a conflict that has killed, according to the UN, at least 40,000 and displaced around 2 million from their homes in the northeast. Though the violence has waned since its peak a decade ago, it has split into neighboring Niger, Chad and Cameroon. Now, Maiduguri itself, once the scene of nightly gun battles and bombings, has been calm in recent years, with the last major attack recorded in 2021. Now, shifting our focus to West Asia, 14 countries, including France, Britain and Germany, has condemned Israel's recent approval of new Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank.
Well, also in a joint statement that's been released by the French Foreign Ministry, the countries recalled the clear opposition to any form of annexation and to the expansion of settlement policies.
On Sunday, Israel's far-right finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, announced the authorities have greenlit the settlements. He said the move was aimed at preventing the establishment of a Palestinian state, and in their statement, the countries condemned what they called unilateral actions and said they violate international law and risk undermining the ceasefire in Gaza.
The statement urged Israel to reverse the decision as well as the expansion of the settlements, reaffirming their unwavering commitment to a comprehensive, just and lasting peace based on two-state solution where democratic states, Israel and Palestine, live side by side in peace and security.
Right, and all of this at a time when mediators are pushing for the implementation of the second phase of truce. There's opposition. The mother of slain Israeli hostage, Ran Gwili, has called on Israel to refuse to move to the next stage of the ceasefire. This is still her son. The final body remaining in Gaza is returned.
The Prime Minister is travelling to meet with President Trump, and I am flying to strengthen the Prime Minister's hand, to assist him and ensure that there will be no further progress in implementing the next phase until Hamas fulfills its part and its commitment at this stage of the agreement, and above all, its duty to return Rani home.
Violence continues in Gaza region. An explosion that hit an Israeli armored in Rafah on Wednesday. The Israeli military said that an officer was injured in the broadcast, with Prime Minister Netanyahu blaming Hamas for this explosion. Hamas has denied the allegations, saying that the blast took place in a zone fully controlled by Israeli army, where no Palestinian is present or even with.
Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, in a speech in West Bank's Bethlehem, called the situation in Gaza catastrophic, adding, however, that there's still desire for life. He made these statements before leading the traditional midnight mass at the Church of the Nativity.
In the midst of nothing, they have been able to celebrate, to enjoy, despite everything.
We have some breaking news coming in. 9 killed in road accident in Tamil Nadu after a government bus collides with 2 vehicles. According to police, the bus, while proceeding towards Tiruchirappalli from Chennai, swerved to the opposite side and collided head-on with 2 wheelers, an SUV and a car. 7 occupants of the 2 private vehicles were killed.
That's right, Diksha. Details also coming in regarding the statement that's been issued by the police. Police says that the bus changed direction due to a tire burst. 4 persons, including 2 children, sustained severe injuries and they were being treated at a state-run hospital. Also, Chief Minister N.K. Stalin has expressed shock over the deaths and has conveyed his condolences to the bereaved families. Unfortunate news that just quickly, this is from Tamil Nadu, where 9 people have been killed in a tragic road accident. Government bus that had turned turtle in this incident late last night.
Right, Samiksha, and according to police, the bus, while proceeding towards Tiruchirappalli from Chennai, swerved to the opposite side and collided head-on with 2 vehicles, an SUV and a car. And in this accident, 7 occupants of the 2 private vehicles were killed. The police said the bus changed direction due to a tire burst. 4 persons, including 2 children, sustained severe injuries. Following U.S. seizures of Venezuelan oil shipments, Venezuela's National Assembly unanimously approved a new bill imposing prison sentences of up to 20 years for anyone who's accused of promoting or financing piracy, blockades, or related international crimes.
That's right, Diksha. Details also coming in regarding the vote, which comes amid a series of US sanctions, actions against Venezuela's oil trade, which is as US has been increasing pressure on Venezuela by seizing oil tankers to enforce a naval blockade, adding that more troops and special operations aircraft in the Caribbean.
Right, and so far this month, the US Coast Guard has intercepted 2 tankers in the Caribbean Sea, both fully loaded with Venezuelan crude. The Coast Guard is also pursuing a third empty vessel that was approaching the OPEC country's shore. Venezuela's envoy to the United Nations says Washington is subjecting Caracas to the greatest extortion in its history after the US announced a blockade of sanctioned oil vessels sailing to and from the country.
Let it be clear once and for all that there is no war in the Caribbean, there is no international armed conflict, nor is there a non-international armed conflict. It is therefore absurd for the United States government to attempt to justify its actions by applying the rules of the law of war.
Well, Russia and China have criticized the US tactics at the United Nations, calling it cow-by-a-boy behavior and intimidation. And Russia's ambassador to United Nations has said that the acts by the US side run counter to all key norms of international law. Additionally, according to reports, Russia has started evacuating the families of its diplomats in Venezuela as fears of US military action have now been growing.
Right, the Chinese representative has also weighed in on this matter. And addressing the issue, he said that US actions and rhetoric have led to continued tensions in the region and urged Washington to avoid further escalation. Meanwhile, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said that his country is receiving overwhelming support from the UN Security Council following the emergency meeting. In response to the criticism, US Ambassador Mike Waltz maintained the country stands on the matter and said the United States will do everything in its power to protect its borders and the American people.
President Trump has been very clear that he is going to use the full power of the United States of America, the full might of the United States to take on and eradicate these drug cartels which have operated with impunity in our hemisphere for far too long, and everyone knows it.
The US has reportedly sent additional special operations aircraft to the Caribbean. Also, the Street Journal that has cited a US official has reported that at least 10 CV-22OS prey-tilt rotor aircraft, which are used by Special Operations Forces, flew into the region on Monday night from Cannon Air Force Base in the city of New Mexico.
The treatment of gender incongruence has long been a bone of contention in the UK. And in wake of this, the Labour government's decision to commence a clinical trial of puberty blockers has sparked off a huge row with MPs across parties up in arms.
That's right, Diksha, also known as puberty suppressing hormones. Puberty blockers are drugs that are used to pause the physical changes of puberty, such as facial hair, breasts, or periods.
These drugs were used to treat young people feeling distressed because their gender identity does not match the sex they were assigned at birth. Last year, the UK government banned drugs being prescribed to young people questioning their gender identity. This is due to the uncertainty over the safety of these drugs.
In April last year, an independent review led by pediatrician Dr. Hilary Cass recommended that puberty blockers can only be offered as part of a clinical trial. The clinical trials will kick off in January next year and will involve close to 250 children and this who are under the age of 16 and are undergoing puberty. They will undergo intensive medical and psychological screening before having to take puberty blockers. The trial shall examine the impact of these drugs on bone density, brain development, and mental health.
The result of these trials are expected in 4 years. However, this move has attracted scathing criticism. 11 members of the House of Lords, including Labour MP Lord Glassman and Conservative MP Baroness Jenkins, have called upon UK Health Minister West stating to halt the puberty blocker trials. In a letter addressed to the Times, they expressed concern that the clinical trials would put children on lifelong medical support.
They flagged more negative effects such as loss of fertility, sexual dysfunction and reduced bone density. According to them, the clinical trials should not begin unless data is released on outcomes of patients who had puberty blockers in the past.
Well, barely a week ago, the UK Health Minister had refused to stop the puberty blocker trial from going ahead, conceding that he was personally uncomfortable about these drugs. Streeting asserted that many young people perceived a ban on puberty blockers to be harmful to them. Well, as the face-off continues, ethical concerns have also been raised whether children can give informed consent for the clinical trials. With activists threatening legal action, the future course of action by the UK government will be closely scrutinized. Thailand's Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul is gearing up for a rerun in the snap general election in early February.
That's right, Diksha. But this time, he's banking on rising nationalist sentiment, which is linked to border tensions with Cambodia.
Speaking to party members and supporters, Anutin said he and the Bhumjai Thai party are ready to return to power. He described the February 8th vote as the most consequential election for the party since its formation in 2008.
Anutin dissolved parliament less than 100 days into his term after his minority government faced threat of a no-confidence motion. If re-elected, he said that key ministers will retain their posts, including the finance, foreign and commerce portfolios.
In the 2023 election, Anutin's party finished third and joined a few Thai-led coalition. It later withdrew support from a leaked phone call involving then Prime Minister Pitongtang Shinawatra and former Cambodian leader Hun Sen. The removal of Pitongtang by the Constitutional Court in August opened the door for Anutin. He later became the Prime Minister in September through a parliamentary deal that later collapsed. Now, the breakdown has set the stage for February's early elections, but the analysts now say the race could be close with no clear majority in sight. And China is ramping up measures to keep technology under control.
And this, even as concerns over artificial intelligence could very much threaten Communist Party rule mounts.
Well, Beijing has formalized sweeping rules for artificial intelligence, and under these regulations introduced in November, chatbots must be trained only on data that's filtered for politically sensitive content. Before they can go public, they must also pass ideological tests. All AI-generated text, images and videos must be clearly labeled and traceable, and users must register with either their phone numbers or national IDs.
During a recent enforcement campaign, officials reportedly removed more than 100,000 pieces of what they called illegal or harmful AI-generated content. Additionally, it has also shut down nearly 3,500 illegal AI products and classified AI as a major potential threat, placing it alongside earthquakes and epidemics in its national emergency response plan.
And while American AI companies also restrict content, researchers say that China's system goes much further, reflecting decades of efforts to tightly manage public discourse, including the Great Firewall. In August, Beijing rolled out an AI Plus initiative calling for AI adoption across 70% of key sectors by 2027.
Officials believe that even if a chatbot generates politically dangerous content, China's censorship system will prevent it from spreading widely.
President Xi Jinping has warned that AI brings unprecedented risks, with one senior official comparing unsafe AI to driving on a highway without brakes. And researchers have turned yet another page on the cause of heart diseases.
A new study has now revealed that women with uterine fibroids have over 80% more, they are more vulnerable to get long-term heart disease than those without this condition.
Well, the study published in the Journal of American Heart Association talks about female dealing with uterine fibroids. This is a condition where muscles and excess tissue growths in or on the wall of your uterus And these growths are usually not cancerous or benign. However, they are the most common non-cancerous tumor in females. The condition can cause a variety of symptoms like pain and heavy, irregular bleeding. The new study says that this condition can not only affect reproductive health but also the heart health of females.
The sample size compared nearly 450,000 who were diagnosed with fibroids to over 2.25 million women who did not suffer from fibroids. The women were aged between 18 to 50 years and those who did not have any history of cardiovascular diseases or menopause.
The participants were tracked for a span of 10 years. The researchers then matched each woman with fibroids to 5 women of the same age who had no record of fibroids. Well, the results were thought-provoking. The fibroid group experienced approximately 6.5 cardiovascular events per 1,000 person years, compared to about 3 events per 1,000 person years in the comparison group. While women with fibroids showed consistently high rates of cardiovascular issue at both the 1-year and 10-year checkups after diagnosis. By the end of the 10th year, the cardiovascular risk reached 5.4% in the fibroid group versus 3% in the comparison group. And with that, it's time for us to slip into a very short break on World DNA. But don't go anywhere. Coming up on the other side, unrest in Bangladesh continues. A man was killed as a group threw a crude explosive from a flyover in the Mosque area of Dhaka. Police say the investigation is underway and the motive has not yet been confirmed. Also on the other side, US health officials says a new fast-spreading variant of Norovirus is driving the latest uptick in cases. As the year draws to a close, it is highly contagious but not new nor unexpected for the colder months. All this and more coming up on the other side of World DNA. Stay tuned. You're watching WION World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
Welcome back. You're watching World DNA with Samiksha and Diksha. We have lots lined up for you on this side of the show as well. But first, a quick check on the headlines. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversees test firing of long-range surface-to-air missiles at a launch site near its east coast. State media claims the test destroyed targets in the air from 200 kilometers away.
Zelensky secures key concessions in a revised US-led peace plan, including Ukraine accepting principles of demilitarized zones in eastern regions if Russia pulls back forces. Kremlin is reviewing the proposal.
US Department of Justice says more than 1 million more documents potentially related to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein have been discovered and are being reviewed for release.
Fourteen countries, including France, Britain, Germany and Italy, condemn Israel's recent approval of 19 Jewish settlements in occupied West Bank, calling it violation of international law.
Iran state media says Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps seized an oil tanker in the Gulf carrying more than a dozen foreign crew members. It was not immediately clear under which flag the ship was flying. Bangladesh is on edge as fresh violence erupted in capital Dhaka, killing a man in a powerful crude bomb explosion in Mosque Bazaar area just ahead of exiled BNP chairman Tariq Rahman's return to the country today. Worshippers gather at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris on Christmas Eve as a procession and midnight mass takes place inside the landmark church. Choir sang during service as Archbishop of Paris delivers the homily. Bitcoin showed little sign of life and missed out on the Christmas cheer on Wall Street. The OG token stalled near $87,000, down from 30% from record highs and on track for its worst quarterly performance since mid-2022. Ivory Coast make a winning start to their Africa Cup of Nations title defense. Amad Diallo early goal gave holders a 1-0 win over Mozambique. Bangladesh remains on the boil. On Wednesday, a man was killed as a group threw a crude explosive from a flyover in the Mosque Bazaar area of Dhaka.
Well, a police official has said that the explosive fell on the victim's head and burst, critically injuring him. He died soon after.
The police cordoned off the area after the incident as panic spread. Police say the investigation is underway and the motive has not yet been confirmed. No group has so far claimed responsibility. Jamaat-e-Islami chief Amir Shafiqur Rahman strongly condemned the incident. In a post on social media, he expressed profound grief over the explosion and prayed for the deceased. He blamed the tragedy on the authorities' failure to arrest and bring to justice the killers of Osman Hadi. The party has called a rally in Dhaka on the 3rd of January, demanding the arrest and trial of those who are responsible for the killing of Hadi. The Assistant Secretary General of the party confirmed the date of the rally but said that a venue is yet to be finalized.
The Jamaat-e-Islami is the largest Islamist party in Bangladesh. It's been flexing muscle again after the country's top court lifted the ban on it. It swept student union elections at Dhaka University.
Then there's the wildcard, the National Citizen Party, the new student-led outfit born out of the 2024 uprising. However, it failed to win a single seat in the students' body election at Dhaka University. But opinion polls project Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, as the front-runner in the 12th February election. Today is an important day for the BNP, as its acting chairperson and former Prime Minister Khalida Zia's son, Tariq Rahman, is set to land in Dhaka after 18 years of self-imposed exile in London. In Maharashtra, the Thakre brothers have stirred the political pot, and this is after a gap of 20 years. Uddhav and Raj Thakre have decided to merge Shiv Sena UBT and Maharashtra Nav-Nirman Sena. The cousins have reunited to fight the elections for Asia's richest municipal cooperation, the BMC polls. Our next report gets you all the details. Take a look.
The chiefs of the Shiv Sena UBT and Maharashtra Nav-Nirman Sena knocked on history's door. The Thakre cousins arrived at Shivaji Park and paid tribute to party founder Balasaheb Thakre. Ushering a new era of identity politics, MNS chief Raj Thakre spoke in Marathi amid cheers from the public.
Today I'll tell just one thing. I was waiting for the Shiv Sena and MNS alliance to happen. I declare this, Mumbai's mayor will be Marathi and he will be one of ours.
Uddhav, seated next to him, sounded confident of Thakre's legacy and the outcome of the BMC polls.
Today we are coming together for upcoming BMC elections 2026. We both will give a strong response to anybody who tries to break the spirit of Marathi Manus.
The BJP mocked the unison of the Thakre brothers, calling it a politics of opportunism.
हाइप तो ऐसे क्रिएट की जा रही है मानो रशिया और यूक्रेन ही साथ में आ गया और ज़ेलेंस्की और पुतिन बात कर रहे हैं। इस प्रकार की हाइप दो पार्टियां जो अपना अस्तित्व खोज रही है, जिन्होंने अपना अस्तित्व गंवा दिया है, जिन्होंने बार बार भूमिकाएं बदलकर लोगों के बीच अपने बारे में अविश्वास पैदा किया है, जिन्होंने तुष्टीकरण की नीति को अपनाकर एक प्रकार से अपना वोट बैंक खो दिया है, ऐसी दो पार्टियां साथ में आई है तो उनके साथ में आने से कौन सा फर्क पड़ने वाला है?
The ruling Mahayuti alliance, led by the BJP and Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena faction, has publicly set its aim of winning more than 150 seats out of 227. At the same time, another surprise alliance is taking shape in Pune. Sharad Pawar and Ajit Pawar are likely to join hands, despite their ongoing political rivalry. The Pawars seek to continue their fight against the Thakres. The fight for the Mumbai civic polls is heating up. After over 8 years, the elections will finally take place in January. The candidates are competing for every one of the 227 seats in the municipal corporation, a critical battleground for local governance and political influence in Mumbai.
This is quite significant. Why? Because this is ending a long-term political rift between the two regional leaders here, that's Uddhav as well as Raj Thakre. Both of these parties do enjoy a strong hold of Marathi-centric voters in areas like South Mumbai as well as central suburbs of Mumbai. Thirdly, it will also have a competition for the BJP, who are yet to announce their seat-sharing formula.
With new equations, unlikely alliances and experimental tie-ups, the BMC elections are leading up to be one of the most politically dynamic contests in recent times.
Winter gatherings are back, travel is booming, but a familiar seasonal bug is quietly making the rounds again. Doctors say awareness, not alarm, is the best defense.
Well, in the US, health officials say a new fast-spreading variant is driving the latest uptick in cases as year draws to a close.
It's highly contagious, but not new or unexpected for the colder months, when people spend more time indoors, travel frequently and gather in close quarters. Well, Norovirus spreads easily. A handshake, a shared surface, a contaminated plate of food. It doesn't need much to move from one person to another. Symptoms usually appear quickly. Nausea, vomiting, stomach cramps and diarrhea are most common. Now, they pass within 1 or 3 days. The current variant in US appears to spread more efficiently, which explains the surge not increase severity. Well, hospitals are monitoring trends, but there is no indication of widespread complications or strain on healthcare systems. Children, older adults, and people with weaker immune systems are advised to take extra care.
In the US, about 2,500 outbreaks of Norovirus are reported each year. It leads to over 100,000 hospitalizations and about 900 deaths per year.
Unlike respiratory viruses, Norovirus is not airborne. It doesn't linger in the air or spread through casual outdoor contact. That distinction matters, and it keeps the risk manageable. Across the globe, the air is filled with Christmas cheer and celebration. From the historic churches of Europe to vibrant celebrations in the Americas and Asia, communities came together for midnight mass and Christmas festivities. Well, in the Vatican City, faithful gathered in St. Peter's Square for Pope Leo's first Christmas Eve mass.
All together, tutti assieme. And now you're going in the church? Yeah.
Tante grazie per venire qui questa sera anche in questo clima. Vogliamo celebrare insieme la festa di Natale. Gesù Cristo che è nato per noi ci porta la pace, ci porta l'amore di Dio. Tanti auguri a tutti voi. Seguite la celebrazione negli schermi. Dio vi protegga e benedica tutte le vostre famiglie. Nel nome del Padre e del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo. Amen. Tanti auguri a tutti.
France's Notre Dame Cathedral also held a midnight mass, second since it was reopened in December last year.
In war-torn Gaza, Christians flocked to the Holy Family Church to celebrate Christmas under a ceasefire for the first time in 2 years.
This year is a little bit different compared to past years. This year we feel relatively safe. The strikes have stopped, or they are far from where we are. The past 2 years were very tough.
Christmas cheer also returned to Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus Christ. Thousands of Palestinians filled the manger square, erupting in cheers amid songs and performances. Iraqi Christians attended Christmas Eve rites at the Syriac Catholic Cathedral, where priests and altar servers lit a small fire during the service. The ceremony marked the holiday for one of West Asia's oldest Christian communities after years of conflict. India ringed in Christmas with prayers, carols and joyous celebrations across several cities. Not just Earth, the festive spirit permeated space as well. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station wish people on Earth happy holidays, and astronauts have decorated the ISS with stockings hung by the airlock and proudly displayed a small Christmas tree during the message.
And so from all of us aboard the International Space Station to all of you, we would like to wish you the happiest of holiday season, the happiest of Christmas, Merry Christmas, and a happy, happy New Year.
Millions of homes light up with decorations, but where do they come from? Well, the answer is mostly China. In 2025, China continues to dominate the global Christmas decoration market, accounting for over 80% for all exports. The total value was nearly $6 billion in 2024, and the city of Yiwu, often called Santa's workshop, alone produces about 80% of those items. For most of the world, the season really begins in China's factories.
While local shops stock trees and ornaments, the reality is that 85 to 95% of artificial Christmas trees sold across the globe come from China itself.
Major importers like the United States, United Kingdom and Germany rely on Chinese factories months ahead of the holiday rush. The added stress due to tariffs has already pushed costs higher in the US. However, the global supply chain is slowly diversifying. The Netherlands has emerged as Europe's key re-export hub, ranking second globally by value. India and Cambodia are gaining ground as manufacturers look beyond China, with exports exceeding $100 million each. Meanwhile, Poland and Germany focus on premium segments, exporting luxury glass ornaments and traditional wooden crafts. Together, these shifts show that while China remains central to Christmas's trade, demand for diversification, sustainability and craftsmanship is reshaping parts of the global market. Italy has ordered Meta to suspend contractual terms on WhatsApp, and this as regulators probe whether the company is shutting out rival AI chatbots.
The move marks another escalation in Europe's crackdown on big tech.
Well, Italy's antitrust authority, the AGCM, has instructed Meta to suspend terms that could prevent competing AI chatbots from operating on WhatsApp. Now, the order comes as part of a formal investigation into suspected abuse of a dominant position. The regulator said Meta's conduct may be restricting competition by limiting market access and technical development in AI chatbot services. According to the AGCM, the contractual conditions could effectively exclude Meta AI's rival from the WhatsApp platform. The watchdog warned that this may reduce choice and harm consumers. The investigation was first opened in July, focusing on Meta's control over WhatsApp. In November, it has widened to include updated terms for WhatsApp's business platform. Now, Meta has strongly pushed back against the decision. A spokesperson called the order fundamentally flawed, argued that the rise of AI chatbots has put strain on systems that were not originally designed to support them. Meta said it will appeal the ruling. The case forms part of a broader European push to rein in big tech. EU antitrust regulators launched a parallel investigation last month over the same allegations against Meta. Europe's tough stance stands in sharp contrast to more lenient US regulations and has triggered growing pushback from American tech giants. The approach has also drawn criticism from the administration of US President Donald Trump. The Italian regulator said it is coordinating closely with the European Commission to address Meta's conduct in what it calls the most effective manner. And India's premier one-day domestic competition is up and running. And the Vijay Hazare Trophy delivered a blockbuster day of action with Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma scoring centuries.
That's right. Both Kohli and Rohit only played They only play 50-over format for India as of now.
And they turned out for their respective domestic teams in a bid to maintain their levels. Delhi's Kohli was on fire against Andhra Pradesh in Bengaluru, and he smashed 131 off 101 balls to guide Delhi to a victory. On his way, he also went past the great Sachin Tendulkar to become the fastest to reach 16,000 runs in men's List A cricket. Rohit Sharma wasn't to be outdone. The former India captain also scored a blistering tone for Mumbai in their victory against Sikkim. Unlike Kohli's match in Bengaluru, which was behind closed doors, fans turned up in numbers to watch Rohit in Jaipur. With Mumbai chasing 237, Rohit opened the batting, walking out in front of a packed crowd at the Savai Man Singh Stadium. The 38-year-old took on the bowlers straight away, completing his century in 62 balls with 8 fours and as many sixes. He finished on 155 from 94 balls. While Rohit and Virat are legends of Indian cricket, Vaibhav Suryavanshi is undoubtedly the future. At 14 years and 272 days, Vaibhav Suryavanshi became the youngest to score a century in men's List A cricket. He achieved the feat by scoring a 36-ball century for Bihar against Arunachal Pradesh. in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. This was only his 17th List A game after debuting for Bihar in December 2024. Suryavanshi got his first senior century that wasn't in a T20 game. And he in fact created a world record for the fastest 150 in men's List A cricket, which he reached off 59 balls. He was eventually dismissed for 190, which included 17 fours and 15 sixes. And that wasn't it. Suryavanshi's innings helped Bihar post 574 for 6, which is now the highest in men's List A cricket. And now let's get you the latest updates from the world of entertainment. James Cameron's Avatar, Fire and Ash has officially crossed the $450 million mark at the global box office just 7 days after its release. The third installment in the franchise has earned $450.1 million till now. Despite a slightly softer North American opening compared to The Way of Water, the film is showing incredible legs during the Christmas break. And the wait is finally over for the Shelby faithful. Netflix has officially dropped the first teaser trailer for the highly anticipated feature film, Peaky Blinders: The Immortal Man, confirming that Cillian Murphy's iconic anti-hero is far from finished. The 70-second teaser, released on Christmas Eve, offers a haunting look at a world transformed by the Second World War. Director Tom Harper and creator Stephen Knight, the film boasts a massive ensemble cast, including returning favourites Cillian Murphy, Sophie Rundle and Stephen Graham, alongside powerhouse newcomers Barry Keoghan, Rebecca Ferguson and Tim Roth. Rashmika Mandanna is officially entering her action era. The first trailer for the pan-Indian action thriller Maisa has debuted, and this is showcasing a fierce new side of the national crush. Directed by Ravindra Pule, the trailer reveals a high-stakes narrative where Mandanna plays a relentless protagonist caught in a web of violence and drama. The film has been generating massive buzz on social media, particularly for its gritty cinematography and intense stunt sequences. Well, that's all we had for you in this edition of World DNA. But before we wrap up this bulletin, let's take a look at the top climate stories making headlines across the world. Stay tuned, you're watching WION World this month.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RS's centenary year, Kesariya